Hello. Welcome to episode 3 of our China Tech Series Season 2. So today we will talk about an industry that may be not so familiar to the audience, especially in the United States, which is the coffee industry in China. And today we'll most focus on the coffee shops. So this includes the chain and indie coffee shops in China. I will share the show notes later with the episode, so you can click on all the links and look at the charts and data that I mentioned in this episode. All right, so let's take a closer look at the coffee industry in China. First of all, we look at the geographic data. So this is both China compared to the rest of the world and also China itself by distribution of different cities and provinces. So first, let's look at some numbers here. In China, they have a total of 100,000 coffee shops, and about 5,000 of those are Starbucks stores. And the biggest coffee city in China and also in the world is Shanghai, which has about 7,000 coffee shops now. 1,000 of those are Starbucks. And the Starbucks chain has just been growing rapidly in China. The latest growth data we have is from the year 2020, where we saw 86 increased newly established Starbucks stores in Shanghai, so that's about a 10% growth there. And Shanghai surpassed Seoul, South Korea in 2015 as the city with the most Starbucks stores. Now, let's look at the first link here. So this is Starbucks stores by country. We can tell that United States as the headquarters and where Starbucks started, they have the largest number of stores, more than 15,000. China and Japan are the second and third place here. Now let's look at the second link here. So this chart on the webpage shows us that Starbucks has been growing very steadily in the early 2000s. So their number has been growing from about 200 to close to 500 from 2005 to 2011. And during that period of time, almost half of the stores are licensed rather than company owned. So what that means is these stores, I believe they were run by a Taiwanese company, food company, while having the physical locations in mainland China. And then starting in 2011 or 12, that's when Starbucks really started to take off in mainland China area. So here we can see the number has been growing at a rate of probably close to 50% for a few years. And then afterwards, it's a linear growth. So we have about 1,000 stores in 2013 and all the way up to 5,000 stores in 2020. And here we can see that in 2018, we have this transition where the Taiwanese food holding company, they gave up or the contract terminated. So all the licensed stores were converted to company-operated stores. So that means currently all the Starbucks stores in China are directly operated by its parent company. And now let's look at the distribution of coffee shops, including Starbucks in China by city. So the third link is a page in Chinese, but I can read you the first chart here. So this one shows you that Shanghai, as we just talked about, has the largest number of stores, and about half of it is chain store, and the other half is independent coffee shops. And this is kind of surprising to read, but actually all the other big coffee cities in China, they all have more indie shops than chain stores like, Starbucks or Tim Hortons. So that means the indie coffee shop industry is actually more popular in tier 1 cities other than Shanghai or tier 2 cities in China. And then let's look at this fourth link, which is a report drafted by Deloitte China about the fresh grounded coffee industry in China. This is a very long and detailed report, so probably won't cover too much in this show here. It would just be nice to read it on your own if you can use Google Translate or some other software. It gives you all the detailed rankings of each major brand in China. Here I took some interesting numbers from the report. So let's look at the second item here on the show notes. So here we can see some of the major foreign players in the China coffee shop industry. First place, as we've just been talking about, is Starbucks with about 5,000 coffee shops. And then we have this chain called Costa from UK, which has about 300 stores. And the other two major players that might be well known to the North American audience are Tim Hortons, which has about 100 coffee shops, and Peet's Coffee, which just started a few years ago. Now they have about 25 stores in China. So among all of these, Peet's is the priciest one, and Starbucks, Tim Hortons, Costa probably comparable with each other. Then let's look at the local major players in the China coffee industry. So the biggest one that we should talk about is Luckin, which is the largest local chain in China, and the number I got said that Luckin currently has about slightly less than 5,000 stores all over China. And the major difference between them and Starbucks is that Luckin relies more on mobile ordering. So most of the orders are either ordered on their standalone apps or through the mini app they developed for the WeChat platform. And their store size is usually smaller compared to Starbucks, without too many seats for in-store consumption at all. So most of the people there just order for pickup or takeaway there. And then there's another interesting rising star that we should pay attention to, which is called Manner Coffee. So this is somewhat a hybrid of chain and indie coffee shops that started in Shanghai. Currently, it has about 200 store locations. Most of them are in Shanghai, where the chain started. So Manner, the store size is also similar compared to Luckin, so much smaller than Starbucks. And however, if we look at the recent fundraising data from Manner, we can find something really interesting. So the average store value of Manner coffee shop is about $12 million US. That is 3 times compared to Starbucks, whose average store value is about $4 million US. And the business model of Manner is that they sell indie coffee shop style coffee at rather affordable price. So if we compare similar items in Manner versus Starbucks, for example, just like a regular latte, similar size, usually the Manner product is $1 or $2 US cheaper than Starbucks. And also, they are really famous for their sustainable discount, which means if you bring your own container, you get about another $1 US off the product. So because of many of the manor stores are near office buildings in big cities like Shanghai, a lot of the people like office workers who consumed coffee almost daily or twice a day, they are slowly switching to manor coffee shops from Starbucks, which might explain the high store valuation here. And last, we'll talk about the instant coffee industry in China. So the high growth and the star player here is a company called Sanduban, or their product name. So I attached a product link here. So even if you don't read Chinese, at least you can take a look at how their product looks. So here we can see that they are specializing in this freeze-dried instant coffee, where you have these coffee powder inside a small plastic coffee cup style container. And if you pour the freeze-dried coffee powder into either water or milk, then you can instantly get an Americano or the latte. And the price is probably less than half of something you get at a coffee shop, and it's much faster since you don't need to travel to a coffee shop at all to get something fresh made. So this brand gained huge popularity in the past few years, and a lot of those are through social media. Like people would post short videos or post about how they made the coffee just by their desks. Last, we will talk about the supply chain of coffee beans in China. So here I attached a Wikipedia link on the show notes, fourth item here. So you can see that coffee, it's definitely not something that's native to China. So how it first started, or at least how it first started in scale, is that Nestle, when probably the biggest, instant and just coffee in general, buyer and supplier in the world, they started growing coffee beans in the Yunnan province, which is a southwestern province in China. So that really planted the seed for the coffee bean industry, farming industry in China. And after a few years, or you could probably say a couple of decades, when Starbucks started their rapid global growth, they are looking for more sources of coffee bean imports, since the original sources like Brazil and Vietnam can't really catch up with their Starbucks rapid growth, because they've been mature for a while and probably reached their peak capacity. So during that time, Yunnan province, in addition to being a major supplier to Nestle and other instant coffee makers, they also began to supplying coffee beans to Starbucks. And I read some rough estimate that probably, can say, more than a third of the coffee beans to Starbucks now are grown in China, especially in the Yunnan province. And that also kind of developed the indie coffee shop industry in China, since the quantity of coffee bean growth and production in Yunnan province has been growing like a fire in the past few decades. Quantity eventually turns into focus on quality, and people start experimenting with single origin beans instead of just doing those mass-produced Robusta beans for instant coffee, or regular Arabic beans for places like Starbucks, those big chain stores. So that kind of explains how the indie coffee roastery and coffee shop can really take off in China. It's because they have the Yunnan province as their major supplier. So if you want to learn more about the coffee industry in China or any specific brands, definitely feel free to leave a comment or send me a message. I would love to do a follow-up episode in the future. And also, if you have any suggestions for future topics for the China Tech series or other topics other than China Tech, also feel free to leave a comment or message me on the calling platform or other social platforms where you can find me. Thank you so much for tuning to this show, and I will see you guys soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.